So Donald Trump is running the risk of losing both Korea as an ally and the World Cup, talking about FIFA. I want to go over both these stories and give you a Korean perspective, and let's just jump right in. So if you've been following this story, as we've been doing on this channel, you remember that Trump has been demanding $350 billion in cash, which is basically extortion. And let me show you the headlines, because I know when we talk about this stuff, it seems so unbelievable. But yeah, this was just out a couple days ago. Trump pressures South Korea for $350 billion upfront payment. And upfront was actually Trump's words. And so the last few days here in Korea, we've been trying to interpret, like, what the heck is upfront? They've been defining it to, basically translating Trump's words into Korean, and it's laughable in English. And I promise you, when they translate it like to Koreans, are like, what the heck is this guy talking about? And then so essentially the initial response is, we just can't give you that much money. South Korea unable to pay $350 billion in cash to the US for a tariff deal. Now, to be fair, we actually do have that cash in Korea, but it's not like you just want to hand over $350 billion to Trump. Now, the interesting thing is they have been talking about this the last, a couple of days, and they've been sending, messages back and forth, trying to co-author some sort of memorandum. Now, the latest offer on the table, what the Koreans are making, you can see right here, is, okay, we hear your offer, that you want us to give you $350 billion in cash. 5% max is what we're talking about here. So if you want more than that, take a hike. And, they'll do maybe loans or loan guarantees, or maybe invest in other ways, because I just want you to think about this. From Trump's point of view, he wants that cash to direct it however he wants it to go, maybe basically his bank account, his friends' bank accounts, etc. And the Koreans are like, well, if we're going to invest in the country, it's our money. We're going to spend it however we want. If we want to hire Americans, we'll hire Americans, we'll pay that way. If we want to, rent out buildings, do construction, we'll pay for things that way. But this idea that you would just give $350 billion in cash is absolutely ludicrous. So 5% is the offer. Now, what's interesting is I watched these reports with my wife, and she was laughing through the whole time, because the language that the Koreans were using was actually pretty strong. They were saying basically that, I guess, the exchanges between the U.S. and the Korean side was harsh. If you want to use, other language, like, they swearing each other, I don't know, but we don't have the exact quotes of like what exactly they're saying to each other, other than it was harsh language. That's what we have. Then the Koreans sent a 5-page letter in English saying, hey, 5%, otherwise, etc. It's actually important to understand this stuff together, because essentially what you're looking at is Donald Trump, who's basically fumbling all of his alliances. So listen to this, what he said recently about World Cup.
묻는 기자의 질문에 이렇게 답했었습니다.
Well, that's an interesting, I guess, but we're going to make sure they're safe. They're run by radical left lunatics and that don't know what they're doing.
그러면서
So basically, Trump, because I think FIFA is going to be in Seattle, maybe New York, or LA, like, blue cities, that kind of thing. And Trump's like, this is a bunch of lefty radical, blah, 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 right? And then FIFA actually came out and made a statement like, well, football's going to be longer than you, Trump. Listen to this.
몬타글리아니 부회장은 트럼프 대통령의 발언을 의식한 듯 이런 의견도 내놨습니다.
And because I think the game is bigger than that, with all due respect to current world leaders, football is bigger than them. And football will survive their regime, their government, their slogans.
월드컵 운영에 대해
And I thought that was a really clever to say football's going to survive your regime, your slogans, etc. Didn't necessarily mention Trump by name, but we all know who he's talking about. And I wonder, guys, I'm serious. I wonder, would FIFA just completely pull it from the USA? I think certainly a possibility. You never know, right? You just never know. They could make some sort of statement of like, hey, it's just not worth dealing with Trump, etc. Let me read some Korean statements regarding how Korea responded to that $250 billion extortion. This is a Korean regular people saying, even the foot that steps on it will get pierced. The response is killing me. So this, I had to ask my wife for help, because it was basically Korean, and what was sort of translated was like, in Korean, the idea was the response that Korea gave to USA was like, you can keep trying to step on us, stamp on us, or like trying to bully us, but don't think you're going to break us. Eventually you're going to get hurt. Sort of like, if you keep stepping, we're going to put a nail there and you're going to step on a nail. That's one way. That's how my wife interpreted it, to try to explain what the meaning of this one. Another one person said, a round of applause for our government. So meaning that people are feeling positive of how President Lee in Korea is responding to Trump. When you fight, be courageous and bold. The people will cheer you on. And I'm really happy to see that, again, the Korean government's responses and how people are responding to that. Good job. When it's time to fight, we must fight. If we stand up to the United States and China, won't be able to treat us lightly, right? This is how local people are talking. Here's more. Step on it and your feet will break through. This is it. The voice of an independent nation. America, stop treating the Republic of Korea as a vassal state or a colony. And again, that first part, to try to translate it, everyone's responding to how the government responded, basically saying, if you try to step on us too much, you're eventually going to get hurt. That's the basic gist of it. Step on it and it'll break through. It's so refreshing. Or step on it and your feet will get pierced. So there's a couple different ways you can think about it. Wow, this government is the best ever. And this isn't sarcastic. People are like really, really generally pleased. Because if you understand, President Lee is a very, very different than the his predecessor, which was President Yoon, who was arrested and impeached. Basically, he was just like Trump. Completely corrupt, was taking bribes from this crazy religious cult. Seriously, it was a cult, and it's tried to declare martial law. So it feels like Trump is trying to copy President Yoon. And as I always tell you guys, check out the movies 1987 and also 12 of the Day. I put links down below if you want to see them. It just helps you understand Korean history and sort of why Koreans respond that they do, because you have a different history than USA. And one of the things I really admire about Koreans, if you don't know, I'm Vietnamese. I grew up in America, so I have a U.S. passport and an American citizen. And Vietnam's kind of similar to Korea, where, it's a smaller country in the United States, but people have a sense of pride that, they've faced larger adversaries and are still, standing. And that's part of, I'm just using the example of Korea here, though, that's part of the Korean spirit that people talk about. I know sometimes in USA, Americans like to think they're the only country in the whole world, but I'll just tell you, that's not true. There are a lot of countries out there in the world. And also say it's not just Korea who has spirit. Many countries on the world have spirit for their country, and I think that's a good thing, to respect other countries and not try to just step on them until you frankly hurt yourself. Here's another one. Another person says, never compromise, even if the tariffs are the same as Japan's, we'll still lose. Basically saying, hey, can we try to get a better deal than Japan? I also want to show you this. So this is a bit of K-pop, which I'm sure you guys are well aware. K-pop is pretty cool. President Lee has actually been really supportive of multiple industries. So he'll dress in traditional, clothes, go to the K-pop sort of concert event, etc., and basically say, hey, we'll do what we can to support industry. And it could be in a number of things. So for example, recently they've been trying to promote Chinese tourism and have essentially, made it easier for tourist groups to come to the country, which, tourism is real money. People come, I'm serious, I live here in Busan and I see Chinese tourists come and they buy lots of K-pop clothes, posters, music, et cetera, stay in the hotels, eat in the restaurants. I'm just telling you, tourism is real money. And it's very different than, say, Trumpers who's basically chasing away tourists, as you guys know. And so it's interesting to just, again, see the stark contrast. Because sometimes, you get stuck in the Trumpy world and think that the whole world is like Trump. It's just not. And that's why I like to show you guys different points of view. Here's more from the Korean perspective regarding against Trump. Despite thousands of years of foreign invasion, the Republic of Korea has overcome with indomitable determination. Even the United States is a far cry from the harsh reality. Here's another one. Wow, Korea is amazing. Let's go head to head with the U.S. Don't give up. The people are behind you. Go for it, Korean negotiating team. And I'll say I've been also really impressed with the Korean negotiating team because, again, you have a larger country, USA, is trying to extort $350 billion in cash from you. And it's like, come on. And the other thing, too, I just want to also point out, and we'll keep going through this stuff, is that Korea is just continually developing. I came, here like in 2009, so I guess we're in 2025. So I've seen Korea develop for the last 16 years firsthand, and it just keeps changing and it keeps improving, and that's something that you want in a country. And I'll just be frank with you guys. In the last election in the USA, I remember that was one of the things that Kamala Harris was saying. Vote for me, essentially. Vote, Democratic. Let's go forward. And I remember people were chanting, "We won't go back. We won't go back." And I understand some people in USA want the Trumpy point of view and go backwards, back to 1800s or whatever, and where only a certain color of people ruled. I guess some people want that world. I personally don't, but you have a right to your opinion on that stuff. But it's just kind of similar with the Trumpy thing. Is like, hey, I want to go back to plantations and horseback riding or whatever. But I'll just say, not every country in the world is like that, and it's been really a privilege and an honor to watch the Koreans develop. I'll say it like that, because it's hard to explain that every year there's always something new that is being built or developed, and people just are okay with that. I mean, it's part of the culture. Here's another person says, good job. Let's not get dragged around by remaining 3 years of our term. The national interest must come first, meaning that you got to still deal with Trump for the next couple of years. This is actually interesting. This is Sam Altman. OpenAI is here in Korea also making business. Listen.
Well, I've always been looking for.
That's Sam Altman with President Lee, so you can see what he says here.
Well, I've always been looking forward to meeting you.
Oh, thank you very much.
제가 챗GPT의 유료 구독자입니다.
I am a paid subscriber to ChatGPT.
We love that. The most paid subscribers per capita in the whole world in Korea.
네.
사실상 인구당으로 봤을 때 유료 구독자가 굉장히 많은,
But thank you
제일
very
많은
much.
국가가 한국이어서 그 부분에 대해서 감사드립니다.
곧 비율로 하면 1등 하지 않을까 싶은데요.
So I believe soon we will be number one if you do per capita.
Already, number one per capita today. Already.
아마 조만간.
그래서 이미 인구당으로는 1위를
아,
차지했습니다.
아, 총량리 2위. 인구당은 1위라는데.
So I believe in total number of subscribers we're number two, per capita we're number one.
Yes, I think number one.
Which I didn't even know that. I mean, I knew that Koreans were very fast to adopt new technology. Again, you'll just see it in the culture. You see it in the youth that are very digital. And so essentially Sam Altman's in town to make deals with Hynix and Samsung. These are legit companies. They have a lot of talent, technology in Korea. I personally think AI is all a bubble, but hey, if ChatGPT wants to build, databases, build his, I think he wants to build a Stargate thing and his data centers, and then also basically buy a bunch of Korean chips, etc. Hey, more power to him. These are more quotes from the Koreans, just regular ones I want to hear is here. The People Power Party, which criticized the current administration, should disappear forever, let alone criticize the Trump administration, which is trying to rob 496 trillion won, so that's the Korean currency, by twisting the arms of its allies after being slapped by China. And basically the People Power Party, that would be President Yoon's party, so the opposition party here in Korea. And again, it's kind of like the Republicans, basically. They're crazy. It's like a religious cult. It's pretty ridiculous. But they lost the last election, and their last two presidents have gotten impeached. Why anyone votes for that party is beyond me, but like I said, it's like a cult. Not that different than MAGA. And it's hard to explain. So, I don't want to give the impression that everyone in Korea likes President Lee. Again, we have a culty faction just like MAGA. The days of unconditional obedience are over. Let's wisely pursue our national interests. Good job. I'm rooting for you. Never give up. We are the Republic of Korea. This is actually also what we're showing here in Korea. They're talking about how Trump is basically bankrupting farmers. And I showed this segment to my wife, and it was funny because she said, like, who would go with Trump? Like, he's basically, deporting all the workers. He got no workforce to work in the farms. He's killing relations with China, so then you have no buyer. You got no workers. You got no buyers. Like, how is it possibly going to survive? And then they go through and they, have to translate all of Trump's tweets. And yes, it sounds just as stupid in Korean as it does in English. So there's that. And then they even show local people. So listen to this.
The message is we need our government to do their job, which is not write emergency aid checks to us, but to promote worldwide trade so we can earn our income like we need to.
Right. So even the farmers saying, we just want a government to promote trade, which is not crazy sentiment. And that's why I was showing you guys before with, say, President Lee here in Korea is meeting with ChatGPT. He's going to like a K-pop event saying, hey, we'll do what we can to support the K-pop and entertainment industry. He's gone on several things. And then they'll show Trump, sort of what Trump's up to. And like Trump's, got these weird Trump 2028 hats when that's unconstitutional for him to run again for a third time, right? And then they make fun of Trump, basically, and all you have to do is just show who he is. Or they'll show like, Trump was tweeting out this weird AI thing, basically fake videos of what I think it's Schumer, and then putting a sombrero on Hakeem Jeffries. So basically we're just saying, hey, look at Trump putting out fake videos. So, and they even show this too as well. They even show that Hakeem Jeffries responded and even, put a picture of Epstein and Trump. So we're well aware of what's going on. Now, I also want you to hear, and again, this is all fake AI, and they're just showing that Trump's doing these kind of things. I also want to show you what President Lee's talking with Sam Altman, because it's actually kind of interesting. Have a listen to this.
어쨌든 과거에 만화에서 보던 게 현실이 됐는데 아마 저는 인공지능 개발이 인류가 금속을 개발한 것과 거의 비슷한 엄청난 결과를 빚지 않을까 싶습니다.
So the things we used to see in comic books have become reality. And I believe the development or development of AI is similar to the development of metallurgy.
완전히 새로운 세상을 열어젖힌 것 같습니다.
You have opened up a new world for us.
Thank you very much.
행복한 새로운 세상일 수도 있고 아주 위험한 새로운 세상일 수도 있죠.
And of course, that new world can be one of happiness or one of danger.
아주 행복한 세상이 될 수 있도록 좀 더 많은 노력해 주시기 바랍니다.
So I would like to ask you to put more effort so that we will go into the direction of a more happier future.
We very much will do that.
그렇게 하기 위해서 노력 많이
That's what he's
하겠습니다.
talking about. And these are actually the headlines this morning on CNBC. South Korea's Kospi hits record high as Samsung and SK Hynix soar on OpenAI partnership. And then this was the Wall Street Journal. Samsung and SK Hynix rally on partnership with OpenAI for the Stargate project. Listen to Sam Altman's response to the Korean president. Have a listen to this.
네.
So we will start with an opening remark from you, Sam.
Okay. We're very honored to be here today and to support Korea's ambitions to develop an incredible, thriving local AI ecosystem. As we were saying earlier, it's remarkable what's happening in Korea, leading the adoption of AI and also building with AI in all these sorts of ways. We're very excited to get to build Stargate Korea and data centers with our wonderful partners to support the sovereign AI needs of Korea. We hope to do much more over time. And also, Korea has an industrial base like nowhere else in the world that is critical for the development of AI. And so to get to work with such wonderful partners, Samsung, SK Hynix, in many, many ways, but really starting with memory and the needs for that, to serve the whole world's demand for AI. Couldn't be more excited to get to partner with Korea, both to support the needs of the country and also to really develop AI to its potential for the good and bring it to the world.
네, 오늘 이렇게 만나 뵙게 되어서 정말 큰 영광입니다. 그리고 이렇게 만나 뵙고 한국이 목표로 하고
It's really
있는
hard to translate all of that, to be frank. I mentioned that is because the difference, the way that the two talk, the president will say, a sentence or two, let the translator talk, and then, go slow and take time. Altman's like this whole paragraph and the person has to translate. But beside that, though, Altman is smart enough to go to Korea, and I'll just tell you the truth about this stuff, guys. There's an educated population here. We have very, very strong companies here in Korea, and it's not just Korea. You could look at Japan, you could look at China, and don't sleep on the power of Asia. I understand that people like Trump and MAGA think that everyone, I guess in China, Korea, and Japan are a bunch of idiots, and we, have no education, and we're low-level workers, and I guess we're all illegal workers in USA, but I'm laughing because you have no idea what you're talking about. Trump is just so embarrassing. It's I'm sure you guys know this if you're watching this channel, but I just want to show you a different point of view and how, business is done here in Korea. It's very, very different than what's going on in the USA. So I do appreciate your time, everyone. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next video.